This is one of the 3 major unsolved cases that led to severe criticism of the Korean police and government. Moreover, it is the only film based on a true event made for the perpetrator to watch. When the movie was released, the case was still unsolved. The criminal might have been in the theater, sipping soda and eating popcorn, watching their crime reenacted. I wonder what he felt while watching the movie based on his own story. On November 23, 1986, in the remote area of Hwaseong County, South Korea, the police received a call. It is said that Song is a police officer in this town police station. On this day, a villager reported that a female corpse was found in a small ditch by the field. After Song arrived, he took a close look and saw that there was indeed a female corpse lying in the ditch. The body was already smelly. It was full of mosquitoes. In the field nearby, a group of innocent children were picking up important evidence. The victim's brother was playing with his underwear, so Song came to ask all the men he had met before she died. He had to say that there were a lot of boyfriends had made before she died. Song took pictures with everyone and organized them into a book. He got a thick book, but he still had no clue. Not long after, someone reported the case again. There was a footprint near the crime scene. Song circled around it. There were a lot of people around here. The children ran back and forth. The scene was chaotic. The murderer was very arrogant this time. He put the female corpse directly in the open field. At this time, a tractor came. Song shouted, "Don't come here, go around," but he still threw the footprint directly. The scene was destroyed. At this time, the talent of the forensic department arrived late. It was too late. Song's lover, UZ, was a doctor in the town hospital. He told Song a piece of news. "I heard that the stupid son of the Bai family, Gwang Hao, had a crush on the victim, Seong Shu. The night when Seong Shu was killed, Gwang Hao followed him all the time. So the post office of Song found this a little weak. There was a big scar on his left face." Gwang Hao was taken to the police station for interrogation. Although Song kept hinting and guiding, Gwang Hao still insisted that he didn't kill Seong Shu. The second in command of the police station, Du Zi, wrote back to force the confession. Because the two of them did not receive high education, low culture, and lack of experience, they gradually developed this bad habit. Song took Gwang Hao's sneakers to the crime scene, put a shoe print in the mud, took a picture and put it as evidence, and asked his colleague, Officer Hong, to wash the photo. At this time, the senior officer from Seoul came to assist in the investigation. The bureau happily arranged a desk for him. At this time, the photo of the shoe print was washed out. Song tried to force Gwang Hao to confess, but he was not that stupid. He didn't admit that he killed someone. So, Song and Du Zi took Gwang Hao to the back hill directly and used a hammer to dig a hole to scare Gwang Hao. If he didn't confess, he would bury him alive. Song guided Gwang Hao again and forced him to admit that he was the murderer. At this time, the silly boy told a story. In the forest next to the railway, there was a white chest of Seong tightly holding his throat. Then he took off his long hair from his legs and tightly held his throat with a bag. Finally, Seong's body was shaking and seemed to be dead. Finally, he put his underwear on his head and put his clothes back on. This third-person narrative is like the witness saw the detailed process of the murderer's crime, but Song and Du Zi believed that Gwang Hao was the real murderer. But the meticulous officer Su understood that it was not Gwang Hao who did it. He went back to the police station to study the map and found some problems after the photo of the deceased. But Song already believed that Gwang Hao was the murderer. His teammates played the role of Seong and were ready to go back to the scene to reinvestigate the case after the incident. The clever officer Su looked at Gwang Hao's clumsy finger and confirmed that Gwang Hao's hand couldn't even hold chopsticks. Then how did he tie the rope around the victim's neck and tie it tightly? This is a problem that even children can understand. The bureau and other police officers didn't listen to Officer Su's advice and drove him away. So a scene began. Several officers pretended to reenact the crime. Poor Gwang Hao cried and said that he had never killed anyone. His father also complained to the police and forced him to confess. Reporters kept following him, but in the end, because of insufficient evidence, the prosecutor withdrew the arrest warrant. Song was not convinced. Gwang Hao admitted that he had killed someone. Who else could it be? The pressure from the superiors and the media made the director very upset. A group of people came to the pond again to investigate. The director asked what the two cases had in common. Only Officer Su said that the murder happened on a rainy day and the victim was wearing red clothes. He also deduced that there was another third victim. It's just that we haven't found the body yet. Officer Su showed the director the list of missing people. There was a woman wearing a red shirt and it was raining on the day of the disappearance. And he deduced from the map the approximate location of the victim's body. This time, Officer Su asked the director for 2 police officers. Sure enough, the third body was found soon. Brother Yu also admires this handsome and good at handling cases. Some of the bodies were rotten and some of them had crystals, but because the time was too long, it was impossible to determine the blood type. Just like Xiang, he covered his face with a silk towel and tied a knot in his hand. He was a professional killer. It can be determined that it was the same person who committed the crime. On this day, a few police officers went to sing and drink together. Song felt very embarrassed after drinking too much. He began to ridicule him. "You little bastard, you're so capable. Why don't you go to the United States to investigate? The United States is more suitable for you." Officer Su couldn't stand it anymore. They almost fought. Fortunately, the director stopped them at the critical moment. "I have an idea about this murderer. Tomorrow night there will be rain. That bastard will definitely commit a crime again. We have to catch him before he commits a crime." So a fishing action began. They asked Officer Xiao Hong to wear a red dress and pretend to be a passerby walking in the rain. Officer Su followed behind to protect and hoped to lure the murderer to the hook, but the murderer didn't show up. The two of them hid in the hook to avoid the rain. At this time, two high school girls also came in to avoid the rain. The girl Xiaolan said, "It is said that there is a crazy man living in the toilet of the school. He lives in the toilet during the day and comes out at night to kill people." The two officers understood in their hearts that this is pure innocence. However, something happened that night. A woman picked up her husband's phone and walked alone on the dark road. She went to the factory to deliver an umbrella for him. She sang all the way to beat herself up. Suddenly, she heard the sound of a whistle on the roadside. She used a flashlight to look around, but she didn't see anyone. The whistle stopped. Did she hear it wrong? She walked as fast as she could. After 2 steps, the whistle sounded again. The scary melody echoed in the dark field. The whistle on the roadside sounded quickly. It was not far from the factory in front of her. She ran with all her strength, but before she could run 2 steps, she was suddenly dragged away by a man from the bush. The woman died without a trace. The scene was well protected. The murderer's footprints were intact, but the footprints were blurred due to the rain, so there was no discovery this time. After returning to the police station, Officer Xiao Hong said he had a clue. In a program of a FM radio station, someone has been playing a very unusual song. This song will be played on the night of every murder. It means that the person who plays the song is the murderer. As long as you catch him, it's okay. So call the radio station immediately. Then they kept the postcard of the song. As a result, Officer Su saw it there. The postcard was thrown away yesterday. It was taken away by the garbage collector. Faced with such a huge pile of garbage, there was no way to find it. At this time, the wife of Song, Yuzi, gave him another trick. "Why don't you find a witch to figure out where the murderer is hiding?" Song, this ignorant fool, believed it. He bought a paper talisman and came to the crime scene and put some mud in it. He waited for him to show his killer face. At this time, he suddenly saw a man coming from afar. Is it a murderer? They quickly hid and looked carefully. It turned out that Officer Su was looking for inspiration here. At this time, another person suddenly came, so Officer Su also hid. A perverted man took off his bra and woman's underwear from the warehouse. Then he took off his long pants and took off the red woman's underwear. He began to attack with a flashlight on the ground. When the time came, the 3 men rushed from both sides to meet and chase the perverted man. Together they walked on the street and chased for thousands of meters to a construction site. Song, who was in plain sight, was found among hundreds of people and caught the red underwear. Hong said, "It's not a crime to shoot a gun, is it?" "No, it's not." "Then why did you run away?" "You suddenly jumped out of the woods to chase me." "I didn't run away." Hong insisted that he was uncomfortable because he had children at home and his wife was sick and couldn't sleep, so he went to the woods to embrace nature. After investigation, it was found that his family's situation was really like this. And whether he was at home or at work, he had a good reputation and character, but Song still thought he was the murderer. He was detained for 4 days and interrogated. Hong's colleagues all demanded to release him. At this time, Hong said he had a dream before that he crawled out of the school's toilet. Officer Su remembered the rumor in the school's toilet that the student's sister Xiaolan said in the newspaper. So he came to school and met Xiaolan. Xiaolan said that her back was injured. He went to the infirmary and helped Xiaolan stick a band-aid on her back. Then he came to the toilet to conduct a real-life inspection. As a result, he met a female teacher. The teacher told him that it was probably because there was a woman who often cried on the mountain near the toilet, so the children made up this story. So Officer Su came to this small mountain to find the woman who often cried. This woman was very alert or very timid. When she saw a strange man, she immediately went into the house and hid. After the officer saw her, she still didn't want to open her heart and seemed to be afraid of something. In the end, she had to send Officer Hong out to confess. It turned out that she was also a victim. The murderer attacked her in a rainy day. The same way of committing a crime was to put the woman's underwear on her head. Maybe it was because the murderer was nervous when he first committed a crime, so he finally let her go. The woman was afraid of the murderer's murderous intent and didn't dare to look at the murderer's face. But she can be sure that the man's hand was very soft, like a woman after coming back. Song and Juzi beat Hong to death and the case was closed. Officer Su looked up and saw that this rough hand was not his, so he let Song go. So Song was angry again. What do you mean? So the two of them fought again. At this time, director shouted to let the two of them stop. It turned out that it was raining outside when the song was playing in the radio bed. The murderer is going to commit a crime again. The director called in a group and wanted to send 2 people to protect the citizens, but they were all sent to suppress the demonstrators. As expected, a new body was found the next day. The murderer stuffed the victim's lower body. At this time, there was good news. Officer Hong went to the radio station and found a postcard from the suspect. There was an address. The suspect's name was Piao Xingui. The 2 officers hurried to this address. The photo in the house shows that Piao Xingui used to join the army. Piao's mother said that her son went to work at the factory. So Officer Su and Officer Bing finally caught the innocent suspect Piao Xingui. This time, Officer Su conducted the interrogation in person. Let's take a look at his hand first. It's white and smooth. It's exactly the same as the victim's statement, and he came here last September. It's the same time. Piao Xingui also admitted that he was the one who ordered the song yesterday. He said he was listening to the show all the time. The show started at 7 o'clock and ended at 8 o'clock. But when Officer Su asked him the name of the last song, he couldn't answer. It must be because he went out to commit a crime from 7:30 to 8 o'clock when the victim was killed. The more Officer Su said, the more angry he was. In the end, he took out the 9 pieces of peach meat and used a fluorescent lamp to cover his dog's eyes. Piao Xingui was also upset. The Duzi couldn't sit still. One of the dogs fell to the ground. It was another beating. Now the director is also angry. The reporter is nearby. You still do this? You don't give me face, do you? He was not allowed to enter the interrogation room, but there was no witness or any evidence to convict Piao Xingui at this time. They talked about that Officer Song again. Then Officer Su remembered that Officer Song described the incident in such detail. Could it be that he is the witness? So they went to Bai's barbecue to find Guang Hao. Again they met the Duzi, who was drinking slowly. The Duzi was in a bad mood and fought with the customers inside. At this time, Guang Hao came back. Someone was making trouble in the store. There was a nail on the top. It went deep into the Duzi's calf. Guang Hao away as soon as he saw something wrong. Song rushed to chase him. In the end, he escaped the wire pole. After confirming with him, Officer Su knew that Gong Hao had indeed witnessed the murderer's crime, and he saw the murderer's face. He said the murderer was a very handsome man, so Officer Su took a picture of Piao Xingui and confirmed it with him. After seeing it, Gong Hao started to talk nonsense like he was stimulated. In the end, he ran away again. When Officer Su was chasing him again, he was standing in the middle of the railway. He couldn't persuade him to come over. In the end, he was crushed by the train that came in time. Now the only witness is gone. The whole body of Officer Su was bruised. There was no witness or evidence. He had to let Piao Xingui go. At this time, the Crime Investigation Department said they found a mirror on the victim's clothes. It is estimated that the murderer accidentally put it on when he was shooting the body. If the DNA in the mirror matches Piao Xingui's, it will be a very good evidence. However, South Korea in the 1980s did not have this technology yet. It could only be sent to the United States for testing. It took a while. They had to send someone to monitor Piao Xingui first. At this time, the police found that the Guang Hao's legs were cut off. The whole body was swollen. The doctor at the hospital said the wound was broken. He had to cut it off or he would die. The nail was injured and had to be treated immediately. Everyone must remember. So the victim's knees were cut off. I don't think I can be a police officer anymore. During this time, Officer Su stared at Piao Xingui in case he hurts people again. Piao Xingui, who was just drinking, was gone. He left in a bus, but the car of Officer Su couldn't hit him. In the end, he ran away. At the same time, an old lady in town was sick as a doctor's wife. Yuzi set out for a checkup. At this time, Piao Xingui had not been home for 2 hours. From his house to the tavern, there were only 6 stations. In a hurry, Officer Su thought he must have taken the opportunity to escape. The road Yuzi took just past the crime scene. He brushed past the high school student Xiaolan. The murderer on the tree looked left and right and made a choice. In the end, Xiaolan, who was easier to kill, was still laid down. Although Yuzi heard some voices, he turned around and saw that there was nothing unusual, so he left. It rained heavily the next day. The gray sky covered everyone's heart. The murderer was too cruel. The forensic doctor found that Xiaolan's lower body was inserted into a round pen and a spoon-shaped spoon. Xiaolan's back was still pasted with the wound on Officer Su's back. It was unbearable. Officer Su hurried from the scene to Piao Xinggui's house. He dragged him to the side of the railway and hugged Piao's neck. He was angry. He hated Piao's cruel cold-bloodedness and hated himself for not getting out of bed last night. In the end, he wanted to shoot Piao Xingui and kill him. At this time, Song came and said that the American doctor had just sent a test report, but Officer Su opened it and saw that the DNA in the test report did not match Piao Xingui's DNA. He couldn't be sure that Piao Xingui was the murderer. He didn't believe the report anyway. He wanted to shoot the bastard, but stopped him at this time. The train arrived. Song and Piao Xingui separated. After the train left, Officer Su still couldn't control his anger. He fired a few bullets. Song stopped him again. More than 10 years have passed. Song also quit his job as a police officer and changed his job to business. On this day, he happened to pass by the alley 10 years ago. He ordered the driver to stop. He thought a lot about the tower. He came to that small ditch again and looked down. There was no body inside this time. At this time, a little girl asked if there was anything inside. Song said awkwardly that he just looked around. The girl said, "Strange. There was a man looking inside here a few days ago. I also asked him the same question. He said he remembered what he did here before." "Is that man the murderer?" Song asked. "What does he look like?" The little girl said he was ordinary. There was no difference between him and ordinary people. This film was made based on the 3 major unsolved mysteries of South Korea. The setting of the mystery and the level of the master of the puzzle, especially the scene where the girl was attacked. A dark alley, a crackling sound of rain, a bright and dark light, and the sound of the grass. Suddenly, there was a whistle. The deep valley water and the cold fear of being squeezed made the mysterious atmosphere to the extreme. Although it has been many years since watched this film for the first time, this scene has always been deeply imprinted in his mind. The real-time change of these words adds to its mysterious color. The movie also has a high level of Song, played by Song Kang-ho, is a cultured man who likes violent interrogation. As long as he can solve the case, he will not hesitate to use all kinds of tricks to achieve his goal. On the other hand, Officer Su is a highly educated, principled, clear-cut and just officer. Without him, I'm afraid this case would have been solved by Song. But as the case developed, the truth was getting closer and closer. Song also gradually realized that his previous investigation and interrogation methods were indeed improper. Officer Su's rigorous handling of the case affected him. He believes that he admires his teammate from Hancheng. Every day, they spend time together and investigate the case together. In his heart, he has already treated Officer Su as a brother, so he gradually became more and more rational. He also hates this murderer. He wants this murderer to go to hell, but he understands that if Su kills him, his second half of life will be ruined. He doesn't want to see such a capable officer ruin his future, so he will try his best to stop him. This is a classic crime suspense film that is definitely worth watching and has been mentioned several times. Thank you for watching. If you like my video, please subscribe to Narrator Stories Recaps channel and